Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sitdown. We continue on our journey through my horror movie Tuesday by swinging it from my favorite horror movie of the year and one of my favorite scary movies of the last few years, The Invisible Man. If you're wondering what I was thinking about that movie, which is fantastic. Oh, Lee Winnell, Liz Moss. C'est magnifique, man. You all know my thoughts, though. You can check them out right here. But now it's time to swing into the movie of the four I've seen recently that I liked the second most. And a lot of the reason I liked this movie is because of its creators, writers, and directors, Severin Fiala and Veronika Franz. And similarly to The Invisible Man, actually. Low budget, really good creatives, and one really standout performance, this time by Miss Riley Keough. And I tell you, man, The Lodge did it for me. It didn't try to do anything too big, but oh, did it get under my skin and creep me out start to finish, which is what I have come to know and love from Fiala and Franz. Now, if you are unfamiliar with these Austrian directors and writers, we gonna get into it. But first things first, man, why don't you pull up a chair, take a seat. We're getting ready to dive in, spoiler free, into The Lodge. And as I said, so much of the success of this movie stems from its creators, writers and directors, Severin Fiala and Veronika Franz. If you are unfamiliar with this Austrian duo, let the Seaman update you, man. One of my favorite horror movies from a few years ago. I stumbled across this. You know, I'm not a huge international film person, but when it comes to horror, I will always give international horror films a shot because they tend to be really, really good, and that's what happened with their first big flick that I kind of stumbled across a couple years ago called Goodnight Mommy. And I bring up Goodnight Mommy because it is a direct comparable movie to what they do in The Lodge. They do a lot of the similar things. From a thematical standpoint, two kids, one female lead, who's kind of the adult in the room. Same in both movies. A lot of the things you see happening in the movie, you don't know what is real and what's not, and who you should be for or against in the movie. And you kind of flip-flop back and forth a bunch. And it's those things that Fiala and Franz do so well, and did so well in both movies. They also did one of the shorts, if you remember when I reviewed Field Guide to Evil, they did one of the shorts in there, which I thought was really cool. As soon as I saw their names pop out, again, I got so excited because I loved Goodnight Mommy so much. If you haven't seen it, yes, it's subtitled. Not a ton of talking, though, in that movie, and I highly recommend checking it out. And if you've seen the Field Guide to Evil, you would know that what they were involved in was a story or segment called Dietrud. Really, really solid stuff. And this, The Lodge, is their first foray into an American horror film. Obviously, all of our actors are speaking English, and it's kind of the first big release in America for these two, and I was so happy because they did the things that they were so good at in Goodnight Mommy. And considering that a lot of people probably didn't see Goodnight Mommy, I'm not even mad that there are such similarities between the two movies, because this could really be the thing that kind of shows them off a little bit to the American audience. But what they do so well here is, from a story perspective, that just sets up uneasiness, unnervingness, exactly how they did it with Goodnight Mommy in a similar fashion. But here, if you're unfamiliar with The Lodge or its story, you got a family, two kids, mom and dad. Mom and dad are separated, and they're getting close to divorce time. Dad has a new girlfriend, and when something goes down with the mom, the dad says, "Hey kids, I want to take you up to this cabin for the weekend." It's like a long weekend, or maybe a week. And basically, he's like, "I have to run to New York for a couple days, but you'll be fine. You'll be here with Grace." And the kids are uneasy about that because Grace was part of like a religious cult that had spoilers, but they had a suicide pact, and she was the only one that survived. So they know that there's probably a few things off about her up here. And the idea of spending an entire weekend alone in a cabin away without the dad being there was something they weren't really about. But ultimately, they do kind of come around to going up to the lodge. Dad's there the first night. Dad leaves, and the minute dad leaves, weird, creepy stuff starts going down. And the movie really thrives, again, like I said, on that not knowing what you should take for sincereness or reality in what you're watching. You don't know if, the antagonist in this movie is Riley Keough's Grace, or is it actually Aiden and Mia, the two kids, played by Jaden Martell and Riley Keough. There are moments in the movie where you're like, oh man, it's totally her. Oh man, maybe there's something wrong with the kids. Oh man, I don't know, but everything that's happening is creeping me out. And very similarly, as I mentioned to Invisible Man, the performance of Riley Keough is what drives this bad boy. And her performance of like kind of going down a rabbit hole of crazy is really what stands out, man. As you watch this movie, you watch Riley Keough's Grace slowly lose her mind more and more. And she gets to the point where it's like, what's happening? I don't know, like, what's real and what's not. I mean, she has, like, blackouts where she goes to bed but wakes up in a completely different place. Things go missing in the house, and you're like, okay, well, there's a stretch of time that she can't account for. And all of those things keep you on their toes. And as you dive further and further into this rabbit hole, where the story goes just provides really good stuff for Keough and really good stuff for Jaden Martell and Riley Keough, who are solid. I don't think they're like super standouty. Jaden Martell, who you should know from It, very similar to most of the characters he plays, kind of, a little apprehensive and cautious and shy, but he has a moment toward the end of this film where I was like, oh, damn, I've never seen Jaden Martell do that. And it was good. Like, it was good, man. I don't want to give it away, like, what you get out of him in that performance, but this kind of scared, conserved kid isn't that toward the end of the movie for a small stretch. And when that happens, you're just like, whoa, okay, good for you, Jaden Martell. And, anytime you have, a young child, what Riley Keough does is really strong. And it's really the bond between her and Martell, Aiden and Mia, that really, kind of makes that story work. The two of them together it really help that portion of the story thrive and again keeps you on your toes, very similar to what Fiala and Franz did with Goodnight Mommy. Those two kids in that movie, same thing, man. Like, you're invested in riding with them, but the female lead that's in, kind of overseeing everything gets you going like this a lot. And the cool thing with Fiala and Franz is that they keep you off balance the whole movie. Like, the first time you get your balance knocked off a little bit and your feet kind of slip out from under you, it takes the whole movie before you can kind of steady yourself, because it has you guessing. And there's surprises in this movie. Oh man, like, there are moments, obviously, at least for me, someone who's a big horror fan and someone who's seen stuff that these two have done before in regards to Fiala and Franz, that, some things you can kind of see coming, but the twists that you don't see coming, they sucker punch you, man. Like, you're just like, or you jump, or you're here, and all of those things, that's what you want to feel in a horror movie. I want to feel scared. I want to jump. I want to be like, oh, do I want to know what's coming next? And like I said, The Lodge isn't a flat-out, whoa, scary movie, but it does get under your skin, and it just creeps you out, start to finish. And like I said, it's a brilliant psychological thriller as much as it is a horror movie, because the psychological angle, it's the thing that, to this point, in the two, featured films I have seen from Fiala and Franz, it's the thing they build and lean into the best. And not knowing, keeping you off balance, building tension, and keeping you guessing is really what makes The Lodge thrive. And like I said, Riley Keough's performance is amazing. She's so good in this movie. The only way this movie could, work and really thrive is because of that performance and a really nice assist from the two kids. The other thing I love about this movie is, we'll give shout out Richard Armitage, who plays Richard in the movie. He's the dad, does a fine job. But the mom, who's pretty much only in the beginning of the movie, like, she came on screen and I sat there, I was like, is that Alicia Silverstone? And then it sure as heck was. I haven't seen Silverstone do a movie in ages. You know, her career kind of died the way, well, not died, but like Batman and Robin killed Batman movies for a while. And it also kind of killed Alicia Silverstone's career. She kind of disappeared for a while after that. It struggled. But seeing her pop up here was like, hey, and what she does was really good. Like, again, small role, but like really nails what she was supposed to nail. And is involved in one of those, okay, well, we're going there. The Seaman, if you could tap into my little kid nostalgia, and anything from back in the day, even if it's just seeing a face, you're getting props for that. That's like a small, minute portion of why I like this movie. So much of it is because of the writing, the setup, the execution, and that is all just fantastic from Fiala and Franz and from Keough, Martel, and McHugh. So if you're down for a small horror movie that kind of focuses just on three people, that keeps you on your toes, keeps you guessing, gets you unnerved and scared, and I don't know what's happening, then this is the movie for you, man. I highly recommend The Lodge. Get out there and check it out so that you too can become fans of Fiala and Franz. And then after you see The Lodge and you like that, and you can do with some subtitles, I highly recommend going back, checking out Goodnight Mommy. These, I think, are two Austrian creatives that you should be keeping your eye on, especially in the world of horror and suspense and psychological thrillers, because they crush in that zone, and they once again did exactly what I thought they would do here, and they crushed it. So there you go, man. Those are the Seaman's thoughts on The Lodge. Now I want to know what you're thinking. Like I said, this is a smaller horror film and had a limited release. It wasn't in all the theaters, and maybe it's starting to open up a little bit wider. But if you had a chance to catch The Lodge, what'd you think? Did you go see The Lodge because you were familiar with Fiala and Franz? Have you seen Goodnight Mommy? And if you haven't and you went to the movie, what did you think, man? Did this make you want to check out things like Goodnight Mommy or other things from Fiala and Franz? What was working? Was it the suspense? Was it the psychological aspect? Was it the just getting under your skin and creeping you out and not knowing what was coming? What things there were working? What wasn't working? If that stuff wasn't working for you, what was the letdown in the movie? And if you haven't seen the film, what are you thinking? Did the Seaman entice you to want to check out The Lodge? I mean, I hope so. And also, again, if you have seen the film, what'd you think of the actors, man? Riley Keough, I think, is a standout performance. So what'd you think of her performance? Martel, McHugh, anybody that popped up in the film, anything you're thinking about The Lodge, whether you've seen it, you haven't, you liked it, or you didn't, goes down below in the comments section. I look forward to talking to you guys down there. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out anytime to see Man's talking horror movies, specifically on a day like Horror Movie Tuesday, then there's one thing and one thing only that you can do. I highly recommend coming and joining the Cinema Sit-Down Squad. You can do that by jumping over there, hitting that subscribe button so the Seaman pops up in your feed. But if you want to know when I drop some stuff, then hit that little bell that follows. You'll get alerts every time I drop a new video. For the Seaman's Cinema Sit-Down, I am the Seaman. I'm signing off. Peace. Well, you guys are still here. You must be looking for some more content. Well, don't worry. Seaman's got you covered, man. You got videos like this guy and this guy. And if you haven't yet, and you want to come check out all the Seaman goodies, join the Cinema Sit-Down Squad, man. Hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the little bell down below that, too, so you can get alerts every time I make new videos.